is the Government Week in Review for the week ending Friday, July 7th, 2023. I am Christiane Mitchell. In the headlines, government begins work to address flooding challenge in Fontenoy. Details to this and more when we return.
Something big is coming. It's that time of the year again when the air fills with rhythm, excitement, and anticipation. It's time for the Soca Monarch Prelims. 4 unforgettable nights, 4 electrifying venues, soca music, pulsating rhythms, and performances that will leave you breathless. July 6th and 7th, we're kickstarting at Lassages St. David, and then we're turning up the heat. July 8th, we move to Cuthbert Peters Park St. John, and for the grand finale, July 9th, we'll be shaking the ground at Boss Yard St. Patrick. Can you feel the excitement? Every night starts at 7 p.m. sharp. Be there and experience the electrifying energy of soca. And here's the best part. All this for an admission fee of just $15. There's no excuse to miss this. So mark your calendars and brace yourself for a soca experience like no other. The Soca Monarch Prelims. It's not just an event. It's an unforgettable experience. Spice Mass, The Evolution. We'll see you there.
Welcome back. Work has commenced in Upper Fontenoy, St. George to address flooding that continues to plague private property and homeowners. Government has made a significant financial investment of more than $400,000 to remedy the issue through the construction of retaining walls on both sides of a ravine. Details in this report by Sherry-Ann Noel.
Minister for Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs, Senator Jonathan Lacrette, visited the project site on Wednesday to have an appreciation of what the remedial work entails. He used the opportunity to express gratitude to his cabinet colleagues for their support in realizing the project.
The investment for government is well over $400,000. I think that the residents have been clamoring for quite a while now as it relates to the water, especially when heavy rains fall and the water does not have a controlled channel or a controlled path in which it is directed. And as a result, it started undermining the foundation of houses, etc. So it is imperative that the 2 retaining walls are built and that the construction takes place now before the heavy rains actually do start sometime August into September. I did meet with the contractor last week and he did assure me that we had a dialogue as it relates to employment, and I did request of him to ensure that at least he employ some of the young men within the vicinity that are not working currently. And as you can see, when we came here this morning, there are already 3 of them there. So he did stick to his word and ensure that he provided some semblance of employment for them. So I'm particularly pleased about that.
Road Officer for the St. George Northwest constituency, Kevin George, outlined what the project entails. He said, weather permitting, it will be completed in 4 to 6 months.
The scope of work would entail 294 feet, 95 feet thereabout, retaining walls on both sides of the ravine, also with concrete paving the center of the ravine to control the flow of the water in the ravine, yes. The reason for this presently is because of, one, the width of road that is in this area. We have a very narrow width of road existing, like 7 feet thereabout, and one of the idea is to have that road widen a bit so that the vehicles that are up there could be able to traverse the area. And 2, the walls would help retain the edges of the ravine.
The work, he says, will intensify as time progresses and urge residents to exercise patience with the noise and dust that will emanate from the construction site.
Presently, we are using the compressor to drill the stones, known as blasting the stones, but now what we do, we drill and split the stones so that we can get the heavy stones out of the way of the project.
Tafari Philip, a resident of the area who is employed on the project, says it is one that is welcomed by all residents due to the challenges they have encountered over the years when it rains heavily.
The bridge very low and the water does overflow the bridge and people in the bottom does get real water. People like, for instance, me, I just get a lot of water down there, all through the road from the heavy, not proper drainage of the water, you understand? Yeah. But I'm really grateful for that. I know to say how much I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that because I feel a lot of the pressure. You understand? I can closest to the heat. so to speak. Yeah. So I'm really grateful for that, and it's a very good move, real progress for the community, and I love to see that. I can't see nothing much more than I'm really grateful for it, because it's a blessing for me as well. Not only just the community, as me personally as well, because I used to face it real bad.
Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Timothy Antoine, says the EC dollar's strength and resilience stands out as one of the ECCB's key achievements for the 2022 to 2023 financial year. Reflecting on the work of the ECCB and regional developments for the financial year ended 31st March 2023, Mr. Antoine said the bank maintained foreign reserves of over 90% at the end of the financial year, well above the 60.0% statutory requirement. He was speaking in a program produced by the bank called ECCB Connects.
Throughout the last year, we've seen the continued resilience of the EC dollar. We were tested during the pandemic with tourism shut for a while and foreign reserves exchange not coming in. But we have always maintained very high levels of reserves, and that has proven to be very helpful, especially in times of shock. So sometimes people say, well, maybe you're carrying too many reserves or too high level of reserves, but our view has always been it's an insurance policy to allow us to be able to weather shocks, to have those buffers. So that's the first thing I point to. The EC dollar remains very strong. Right now it's about 92% in backing. At the height of the pandemic, it went down to 89.90 and it's coming back up. And keep in mind, the law requires us to be at 60%, which means for every $1 in circulation, $1 of notes, coins, and demand liabilities, we should have at least 60 cents in foreign reserves. That number is around 92, and it's climbing again as the investment income improves.
The ECCB governor says another key highlight was the strong recovery of the ECCU economies. He said that region-wide, the post-pandemic recovery is now well entrenched with a projected growth rate of 5.0% in 2023.
You would recall in 2020, we had our largest growth shock of 17%. Some countries were a little higher. The tourism-dependent economies like Anguilla and Antigua and Barbuda and St. Lucia. And now we're recovering. Last year, 2021, we did about 5%. 2022, we did about 9%. And in fact, we're going to do about 5% in 2023. So much so that by the end of this year or early next year, most of our economies would have recovered to pre-2019 levels. And that is really on the back of a very strong rebound in tourism.
All CARICOM nationals could be allowed to move freely by March of next year, going beyond the current CARICOM single market and economy regime of free movement of agreed categories of skilled nationals. That decision was taken by CARICOM heads of government at their just concluded 45th meeting in Trinidad. The 45th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, was held from 3rd to 5th July 2023. In acknowledgement of the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty of Chaguaramas in 1973, it was agreed that Trinidad and Tobago will host the meeting. At a closing press conference on Wednesday, CARICOM Chair Dominica's Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, confirmed that heads have taken the decision to seek to have the free movement of all categories of people to live and work.
Obviously, there are some legal issues that we have to examine, and we are giving the legal people some months to examine those legal issues and to ensure that we can come to us by 30th of March to take a definitive position on this. And so we understand that there'll be some challenges for some, but we are committed to this. In addition to the free movement, that there will be certain contingent rights that will be associated with the free movement of people. Access to primary health care and emergency health care. Access to basic education, pre-primary, primary, and secondary education. Of course, we have this Social Security agreement in place already that people can benefit from. But we believe this is a fundamental part of the integration architecture. And at 50, we could not leave Trinidad and Tobago and not speak about the core of the integration movement, that is people's ability to move freely within the Caribbean community. And I think we would have served, and we have served the community well at this meeting by arriving at that decision. And we hope that to see that it will be implemented by the 30th of March, 2024.
Barbados Prime Minister Honorable Mia Mottley said there are some aspects of the treaty in need of amendment, which they hope to have done between now and the end of March next year.
We recognize as well that there may have to be an approach that does not put countries or make countries liable to any forms of suit with respect to some of the rights. So there has to be a minimum set of rights guaranteed for the movement of citizens. That will be discussed and agreed upon. That will be captured in the amendments to the treaty. That will also have to be financed, and we're looking at the CARICOM Development Fund as being able to put in place the mechanism to guarantee that each country can bring its minimum level of services up to the same acceptable period and level. Against that backdrop, we give ourselves these few months.
Guyana will host the 46th regular meeting of the conference in the last week of February 2024. Celebrations were guided by the theme, 50 Years Strong, a solid foundation to build on. This is the Government Week in Review. When we return, CARICOM heads urge to face the next 50 years on a united front.
Prepare for hurricane. Prepare for hurricane. Make sure you have your radio and your batteries too. Waterproof flashlight, candles will do. Tin stuff, garbage bag, first aid kit. Come on people, make sure you have it. Clean water in a container and a hurricane plan. Hear me no man.
Hurricane damage is beyond your control. Surviving the aftermath is up to you. Have a hurricane plan. It can save your life and your family too.
Prepare for hurricane. Your hair, prepare for hurricane.
Welcome back. CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett says the achievements of the regional body are proof that vision and concerted action are critical for sustainable prosperity and security for the region. Addressing the opening of the just concluded Heads Conference, Dr. Barnett urged regional leaders to celebrate the Golden Jubilee with pride, as so much has been accomplished during that period. She said although the region continues to grapple with issues of disaster management, security, climate change, public health, and other challenges, the many achievements over the years are proof that there is strength in unity.
We have established critical institutions that are high functioning and highly regarded. No one can question the excellence of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, exemplified in their leadership in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The same applies to the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, whose performance, despite severe constraints and growing demands from the increasing impact of natural disasters, continues to be exemplary. The work of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center has earned its universal acclaim, and the list can go on. Despite changing global realities, our community has demonstrated that resolve and resilience necessary to maintain the course of integration. The Caribbean community has done well. It is therefore fitting that we acknowledge and celebrate our Golden Jubilee. I have every confidence that our deliberations and decisions over the next 2 days of meeting will set us on a course for another 50 successful years.
Outgoing Chairman and Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Honorable Philip Edward Davis, is pleased with the progress made over the years and during his 6-month stint at the helm. He highlighted one area leaders gave priority in recent months, which he anticipates will be maintained to reclaim a peaceful, secure region in the not-too-distant future.
Our priorities have also engaged with a range of security-related issues on which I'm pleased to report we have seen a marked degree of progress. At the Regional Symposium to Address Crime and Violence, held here in Port of Spain in April, we collectively declared crime as a public health issue across our region, sending a clear message that we will not tolerate the epidemic of violence that has gripped our nations and claimed the lives of far too many of our young people. In our declaration, we recognize the urgency of crime in our nations and its cost to our social, economic, and health systems. We immediately implemented the CARICOM Arrest Warrant Treaty and laid the foundation for many other necessary frameworks to build cross-border cooperation, enhance capacity, and enact reforms to ensure safety in our communities. Now, colleagues, we must forge ahead to meet the commitments of our declaration. Our nations and our people cannot afford any less than resolute action.
Incoming Chair Dominica's Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit is optimistic that as chair, further gains will be made towards security, development, and sustainability.
The issue of free movement, non-tariff barriers to trade, reliable and affordable transportation are all fundamental to a truly integrated CARICOM. We must address our minds and collective will to resolve some key issues. We have the opportunity on this historic occasion, and as we deliberate over the next few days, to take some decisions that can be truly transformative for our people and which will shape the future of our community for the next 50 years. 16 years ago, we showed considerable commitment and political will to allow our people to move freely through 10 member states. It worked then, it can work now.
The heads participated in the historic signing of a letter which was placed in a time capsule to be opened by their successors in the next 50 years on July 4th, 2073. A flag-raising ceremony and tree planting initiative were also held to celebrate CARICOM's milestone. At home, Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell charged Grenadians to use the commemoration of CARICOM's 50th anniversary to reflect on what has been accomplished and what needs to be done to further develop this region. His message was part of the country's observance of the Golden Jubilee on July 4th.
As we reflect on the milestones of the past half-century, let us also look ahead with renewed determination and optimism. Our Caribbean community stands as a testament to the strength of collaboration, the resilience of our people, and our steady commitment to regional progress. I take this opportunity to extend my deepest gratitude to all member states, associate members, regional institutions, and the dedicated citizens who continue to contribute to the success of our Caribbean community.
Several activities were held, including a 10-kilometer road relay, a health walk and cultural exposition, and a flag-raising ceremony. The relay, which was held on Sunday, July 2nd, began at the entrance to the Kirani James Athletic Stadium, and the first handover was made at the Otway gas station, then at the Woodlands Junction and Mount Hartman, before concluding at Montrouge. 9 teams participated in the relay. Acting Minister for Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development, Senator the Honorable Jonathan Lacrette, recognized the need to acknowledge what the regional institution CARICOM has done for its people.
I want to congratulate the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export, as well as the Grenada Athletic Association and the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture in the collaborative efforts that they have displayed here this afternoon in ensuring that the activities leading up to the public holiday was well done, well executed. And I want to thank all of the participants from the various clubs, sporting clubs, that is, various schools, etc., who saw it fit to oblige to the request and participate in this afternoon's CARICOM Road release.
Monetary prizes were awarded to the top 5 positions. Grenadians braved the inclement weather on Monday, July 3rd, and turned out in their numbers to participate in the health walk, which started at the Ministerial Complex onto Cameron Park, where local and other regional cuisine were on sale, along with booths showcasing locally made products. Here are some highlights from the events held leading into Carriacou Day. The Royal Grenada Police Force is appealing to the public to play its part in helping to reduce crime in the country. At a press conference on Friday morning, data was presented from the quarterly report at the end of March 2023, showing that there was an 8.4% increase in crime. However, by the end of May 2023, there was a reduction between 2 to 6%. The same goes for property crimes, which had a 21% increase at the end of March 2023 compared to 2022 figures, but it has significantly reduced to 17% increase at the end of May. Officer in charge of the Criminal Investigation Department, ASP Ryan Hall, says with the increase, the populace must realize its potential in crime reduction.
As we continue to pay close attention to property, violent crimes, we implore you, the citizen, to maintain a sober head. Despite the temptation around this time of the year, when you party, consume excessive alcohol, and drop our guards. In order to safeguard our communities and protect ourselves, it is essential that we take steps to harden potential targets by implementing a few simple yet effective measures. We can significantly reduce the risk of falling victims to crime. Reducing crime requires a joint effort from both law enforcement and the community. Let us come together to build a safer and more prosperous Grenada, where every person can live without fear. Stay vigilant, support one another, and remember that by working hand in hand, we can make a difference.
12 homicides were reported for the year, with 2 currently under investigation. Meanwhile, the Royal Grenada Police Force Traffic Department boasts that strategies employed have contributed to a decrease in the number of road accidents. Inspector Ryan Smith, attached to the Traffic Department, provided an update during the press conference.
Last year, we had a total of 1,459 accidents. This year, we had a total of 1,060 accidents. Also, in comparison of June of 2022 and June of 2023, we had a total of 288 for 2023 and a total of 227 for June of 2023, resulting in a 23.7% decrease. And those decreases can be credited to our vigilance in terms of our foot patrols and placing persons at different choke points and static duties at certain locations.
We take another break. When we return, Windward Island school games return to Grenada.
4 countries, 248 athletes, 5 venues, 5 disciplines of sport. July 22nd to July 29th in Spice Country for the much anticipated return of the CBN Windward Island School Games, hosted by the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports and Culture. Come out in your numbers as our athletes will compete against St. Lucia, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines in track and field, volleyball, football, basketball, and netball. Games begin with an official opening ceremony, 11 a.m. on Saturday, July 22nd at the James Athletic Stadium, followed by track and field. 1:40 p.m. The CBN Windward Island School Games continues daily at the following venues from 9 a.m. Library Indoor Complex, Carriacou Sporting Facility, Tanti Netball Facility, Queen's Park Ground 2, and the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Come out in your numbers and support our athletes as they compete for the coveted prize. Champs of the CBN Windward Island School Games 2023.
Welcome back. Preparatory work is continuing on various facilities to host the Windward Island School Games in Grenada from July 22nd to 29th, 2023. The Library Indoor Court is one of the venues which will be given a facelift over the weekend, which includes general cleaning and painting. Kester Elcock, coach of the Grenada basketball team, who was at the venue on Wednesday, is looking forward to the facilities being ready for the games.
We just want to ensure that we have everything ready. We can tell the countries that are coming into Grenada, everything will be in place. We're here at the Indoor Sporting Complex, and it's always good to know that to play 9 o'clock in the beating sun outside it's challenging for the athletes. I mean, I've been involved in the school games since 2008, and I've seen many athletes at the conclusion of the games totally burnt out, and especially the females, because they're involved in multiple sports, volleyball, netball, basketball, and some of them also involved in track and field. So being here at the Indoor Sporting Complex is good. We can play out of the elements and we can get the best out of our players.
The other venues are Tantine Netball Complex, Queen's Park Grounds, and the Carriacou Hard Court. The last time the games were held in the Spice Isle was in 2016. Elcott says he is more than elated that the games will be returning to Grenada, and the athletes are showing great interest facing their counterparts from the other Windward Islands in keen competition.
It's quite exciting because we have some pretty talented young players who've, over the years, since 2019, has not had the opportunity to really play basketball at this high level. So yeah, it's pretty exciting, and I know the players themselves are quite excited about the tournament as well. It's always a great plus when you can add to your resume a national player or a national coach. So the players I know from their preparation over the last month and a half, they've been quite keenly involved in the training sessions.
Over 400 athletes will be competing in the Windward Island School Games in track and field, volleyball, basketball, football, and netball. The games will be hosted by the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, and Culture. As part of the United Nations Development Program Digital Innovation Challenge, applicants and prospective applicants were given an opportunity to interface with local digital businesses and organizations at its Blue-Green Marketplace at the Radisson Grenada Beach Resort recently. The purpose of the Digital Innovation Challenge is to support agriculture and agriculture-related ventures such as agro-processors and agro-tourism entities by granting them up to US $30,000 to implement digital and innovative solutions for their operations. The Blue-Green Marketplace, an extension of the challenge launched on May 18, facilitated connections between participants and digital businesses, fostering potential collaborations in the future. Amanda Hosten, the Monitoring and Coordination Assistant at the UNDP, highlights the advantages of this project for the agriculture sector.
It's basically supporting agro-processors, agritourism businesses in building their business and in turn just creating sustainable livelihoods and improving food security. When you have these opportunities to benefit from some potential funding, you can use it to significantly improve and enhance the productivity of your business as well.
The marketplace featured 3 distinct digital businesses: Digital Growth Inc., Sonova, and the Caribbean Coding Academy. Clifford Brown, the founder and CEO of the Caribbean Coding Academy, an expert in the software industry, recognizes and acknowledges the proactive stance of the UNDP in driving this initiative.
The idea of people having physical location, at some point in time that will come to an end. Everything going to be in the cloud, everything going to be on the internet. If I want to purchase something, I'm going to go on my phone, I'm going to go on my mobile app, I'm going to put in the order, pay for it, and it's going to be delivered to me in my doorstep. That's the future. You can't get away from it. So my idea behind it is this is a timely initiative. It's one that I think is needed, and that's where we are going as a country and as a people, both regionally, globally, and I'm happy that UNDP is showing leadership, and Grenada taking the step to do this also.
Plans are in motion to stage Grenada's biggest cultural festival from August 1st to 15th, 2023, as artists stage their respective launches and Spice Mass Corporation prepares for preliminary rounds of soca, groovy, and calypso competition. We have a report by Sherry-Ann Noel.
In an interview with the Government Information Service, CEO of the Spice Mass Corporation, Cecil Noel, and the Public Relations Officer, Kinder Pear, spoke to what is required to have an event of an internationally acceptable standard. A critical area is that of vending. Noel says there will be rules and regulations for vendors along the parade route for Spice Mass, from the vicinity of Gleen's Garage on the Kirani James Boulevard to the Carriacou.
We already have one of our partners that is going to be occupied most of that kind of grassy area right opposite Bryden's. Okay. So coming up, we have from there, and what we have done is set out and did a side plan of where the vending is going to be. So we're looking at vending spots of 15 by 15, and that is what the people are actually in the office applying for. So come all the way back to, let's say, FedEx building. We have the rights to all those properties there for vending spots. Okay. The area after FedEx, I think that is an area owned by the Yacht Club. Somebody is going to be vending there as well, but that's come under permission from them. Yes. And then we have along the route all the way to the Port Highway and over to the Carriacou, and all those spots we have done the site visit, the site plan, and we know where all the spots are. So right now it's a relatively smooth process. People come in, we explain to them where it's available, and they do the registration, they make the necessary payment, and we're good to go for vending.
The vending on the Carriacou, he says, will be well regulated to ensure sufficient room for spectators and masqueraders.
The areas that are designated for vending are what you can consider the wider areas. If I give you an example, by just to enter Lotto main office by Hubbard's Place there, and then you have in front of Renwick and Thompson. And in some cases, some of the vending are being done by the owners of the business, and some of the people come to us. So we know the spots where the spaces are. Even in the case of, let's say, opposite Renwick and Thompson on the plaza, there's some areas there as well, but it is more to the back of the plaza side. So you don't affect what's happening along the road.
The preliminary round to select 30 soca artists for the semi-final round of the competition began on Thursday. Public Relations Officer of the SMC, Kinder Pear, says the interest, anticipation and excitement by fans and artists for this year's festival is very encouraging.
So far we have 101 persons registered for the power preliminaries, and it's like the anticipation is there. I think the energy we're getting for preliminaries this year is the energy we kind of get for the finals, because everybody, is excited. Of course, the prize is much higher. There's a lot on stake. Right. A lot of the contestants, they're eager to come out there and prove themselves, whether they're new upcoming artists, whether they're veterans, Technically, this is our reintroduction back into a full carnival after the pandemic. Right. So everything now is like we want it to be on a much bigger scale and continue to grow. Of course, we're working with the theme, the evolution. So this year is actually the start of that.
The preliminary round of the soca competition in 2023, Kinder says, will be held at 3 venues: Lassages in St. David, Cuthbert Peters Park, Guelph, and Boss Yard, St. Patrick.
It most definitely was a challenging one because, as I mentioned, a lot of the artists that have auditioned and have registered, like, they have been good quality music coming out there. So it's like we wanted to ensure that it's grouped where you're not gonna get how I can put it, the popular ones on on a specific night. We wanted to be able to spread it out, and I think they would have dipped for their position, so that kind of made it a bit easy as well. As to which night, yeah, they would have been performing on. So it's less work off the judges.
There will be a cover charge of $15 at the gate for the preliminary round of competition. The Groovy preliminary will commence from July 14th to 16th and Calypso 10 judging from July 17th.
That story brings us to the end of our weekly roundup. I am Chris and Mitchell. Thank you for viewing.